I started this show while I was in law school and then kept it going while I was working. And then I was moonlighting for a period of time on Sirius XM satellite radio when my show got picked up. And my law firm was like, well, as long as you don't fall behind on your work. And then the '08 crash, well, it was '07, but that whole thing started and we ran out of work. And I was like, I'm just going to do this hobby that I've been doing. And then they let all of us go with like almost a year long severance package. So I was like, great, I'm just going to use that to get my business off the ground. And I remember thinking at the time, you'll like this because you run a business. At the time, I remember going, 9 months of severance? Oh, I'm not going to need that long to get this business off the ground. and then it was like 3 years later, I was like, when do we start making money? This is so hard.
People forget and think that just because you own a business, you get paid. And one of the tips I always try to tell people, I've opened and created 3 successful businesses. And this by far, I've been blessed to be the biggest. But rule number 1 for me is you got to reinvest in your company. You pay yourself last. People forget that. And the companies that fall are the ones that try to pay themselves first or too much. And they forget that you're reinvesting in your company long-term. It's not about the paycheck today.
Yeah, you see those guys on Shark Tank and like Mark Cuban will go, okay, well, how much do you need to survive? And the guy will go, I'm fine with 6 figures. And he's like, I'm out. Like, I'm fine with 6. I bet you're fine with 6 figures, buddy. What do you think I was going to do? Cut you a 7-figure check for getting an investment deal from me? I'm fine with 6 figures. How about you're going to make $24,000 a year until this thing is profitable? How's that sound? You're going to be sleeping in the back on the office on a frickin' futon and eating whatever we cater for the employees and working 6 days a week. I'm fine with 6 figures. This guy. That's
the world we live in, though. I mean, even hiring people, people are like, do I get a car package? Do I get a cell phone? Do I get a laptop? It's like, I mean, you like to grind. We have sales reps making $250,000 a year, field energy consultants that do well, but we'll have professionals show up and they're like, am I not getting all these things? And ours is a commission only employee position. But when we have 300 reps and 30 of them are making $250,000 a year, that's a big deal. You got to sell the dream, but too many people think everything should be given to them without earning it. And I think sales really is the first step to entrepreneurship, to open a business. You got to be able to sell yourself and be able to live very frugal, like you said.
Definitely. I won't mention this company, but I've got some friends that run a company, and I'm trying not to I don't want anybody to be able to guess who this is, but one of the things they were complaining about recently was they have these kind of, pardon the stereotype, but like fat old sales guys who are like, it's not negative because they're fat and old, but the problem is they're like fat old lazy sales guys, and they fly everywhere first class. And which, not there's anything wrong with that, but when you're flying to a meeting in Dubai, I get it. When you're flying to Albuquerque for the day, who cares if you're flying? Why do you need a ticket that's $900 for a 2-hour flight? Just take the damn thing. And then, like you said, car package, they want a laptop. Fine. Okay, fine. A laptop and a cell phone is nothing, but why do you need me to rent your car? Just get a higher commission or spend some of your own. It just doesn't make any money. And they're just like chasing perks, and they're like, well, we're getting offers to go to XYZ Co over there, and they offer this and that and the other thing. And it's like, do you want to make money or do you want a leather interior? What are you doing? What are you doing? And they're just kind of like, and it's ironic. Those guys, they never close any deals. It's always the young guys who are making like 1/5 of the amount of commission that those guys are on because of their seniority schedules and everything. And they're making all the sales, and these old guys are going to meetings. And that's it. They're just going to meetings all day, every day, and like taking severance packages when they don't perform.
2 things. One, you said you had partners and you're doing that. You felt handcuffed. Been there before. Know exactly what that's like, where you're like, I feel like I'm in a cage and I can't take this to the next level because this dude wants to go too slow, right? I completely understand that. You got to break it and you got to move on. Secondly, one of the rules I try to emphasize to people, and I think you can appreciate this, especially with some of the people I want to talk about that you've brought on your show, but I have an 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the staff keep their job every month. 20% we fire, and we draw the KPI line. So I'm a big believer if 20% of your team is doing 80% of the work, the next 60% is doing 20%. That bottom 20%, you need to keep cutting and burning. If you want to grow a company like this, you have to do that. They have to have KPIs. They're not hitting it because people get stagnant. They have a shelf life. They start to turn rotten like milk. You got to throw them out. You can't keep like you just said, you get the fat and old lazy guys, they feel comfortable. It needs to be uncomfortable. And those that are hungry, especially in sales, you got to keep pushing the bar up. And the way to do that is replace that bottom 20%. That's what I've seen growing businesses. And we try to do in every department, even installs, customer service. We hold them accountable because too many times as an organization or as an entrepreneur, as a business, you're paying for people that it's just a job and they're doing just enough. And my argument is we pay someone 100% their paycheck. We should get 100% effort. You agree?
Yeah, I mean, dude, there are employees that treat it like a job. You're in real trouble when you have a partner and equity holder that also thinks, hey, I was working with guys that they didn't say this explicitly, but the whole vibe from them was, when are you guys going to make a big move so that we all can cash out? And I remember them saying some variation of this, like, hey, when are we going to be able to cash in on this? When are we able to cash in on that? And I go, didn't you spend all day watching football yesterday? You know what I was doing? I was making sales calls. And they're like, oh, well, did you have a lot of work backed up? And I go, yeah, because I work 7 days a week and I have a lot of work all the time. Why? I don't care if you watch football, go ahead, but why are you asking me when I'm going to sell more? The answer is, what the hell are you doing all day? Besides what, like, who are you and why do you think that you're worth the same amount? And I remember we were doing distributions and our finance guy was like, and this isn't a partner, it's just like a financial person. And they were like, oh, I noticed that Jordan is making this much and other people are doing that. And my business partners got super angry and our CFO was like, well, Jordan makes 100% of the sales. And they were like, yeah, but we're all partners here. And the financial guy goes, like, we got in this big thing. I opted out. I just went to go get something to eat because I didn't want to be a part of this discussion. Because I was like, if you make the wrong choice, I'm leaving. But the CFO and our accountant were like, you can't get rid of the guy making 100% of the sales. If he wants you guys to all get paid the same, that's fine, but you're going to be underpaying him to do what he's doing, and he's going to be disincentivized. So they finally came to the agreement that I should be making what I was making, but I was making like 3 or 4 times more than the other partners were in the business, and it actually caused a huge rift because there were guys that were like, why don't we make as much because we have a so-called equivalent title or the same amount of equity? And then there were people who knew how to run a business, and they were like, you're going to screw up this entire thing if you don't incentivize your salespeople. And it was bizarre to me because it was so obvious that even the people under me in sales, we had to incentivize. And they were like, well, he can't make more than me. And I'm like, why? Because you think you're entitled to it because you own a third of the business? Why would the sales guy not make more than you? So we ran into all these like ego problems where guys who just thought they should be making a lot of money because they were 30 and wanted more money. And that eventually ended up sinking pretty much the whole business. I ended up obviously leaving and starting the Jordan Harbinger show, but I even see the problem now. What's funny is the way that they solved this problem, looking at their structure now, is they hired a bunch of like 22-year-old kids who don't ask for any money, barely. And now those are the people running everything. And obviously the business is totally screwed. But it's amazing what an ego can do. When they put me on commission only, I said, okay. And I made like $800 a month for like a year. And then I started making like $35,000 a month for like 4 years. And that pissed everyone off. And I remember talking with my CFO and going, why weren't they mad when I was making $800 a year? Shouldn't they have been mad that we weren't all equal like they're mad about right now? And looking at it now, I'm like, anybody that comes into my company that has like an ego issue, I kick their ass out the door so freaking fast. And people be like, what did he do? And I'm like, nothing. But it's only a matter of time till they sabotage this other person's deal. They sink a project because they don't want someone else to succeed and get credit while they're sitting on the sidelines with their thumb in their ass. You know, they got to look good. And that doesn't mean that they're going to work hard to look good. They might do that. They may do that. But they will also tear someone else's ass down so that they look good. And we can't have that in the organization.